So I have no choice but to let the device, upload in YouTube, because at the end, whatever the price, other people have to know that I'm paying. I'm going to the briefcase now, and I'm going to get the magnet out. Uh, it's right here, and I'm going to use it while I'm essentially frying. If you were to put your hand right where the device is, right here, and up to here, you will actually feel how hot it is. And my heart is really beating hard. Uh, it's almost as the same thing that happened on the day where I had to go to the emergency room. The frequencies are very high. They're coming and they really hurting. So I have a magnet here and I'm going to put it on. But this is taking all of my time, and yet, you know, we have done every possible things. We have extended an arm of reconciliation. We have gone our way. I'm certain, looking back, looking at the scene, the interactions, the serendipitous Josh answering the phone, at the right time when we were waiting for the, lease, and then the change in the apartment. And I tried to send an email to the senator. I suspect that it's a hack account. I'm really trying to, you know, show that there is something, the suspicion. I had Mark one of the medical form, and as you can see, here it is. These are the area where I mark that there is a problem, where the doctor actually suspects something. You can see here there had been changes after the surgery, on the surgery of May 24th. It's not the same thing that was there before. You can go down and see where they place the wire, where it's actually ending, straight up into the adjacent space, of these here. And you can see where the cord stimulator should have entered the spinal cord, but it's not. Instead, it terminates in the posterior subcutaneous fat level of L3. And it goes on and on, the impression, the way in which, the wire have been placed. And, something like that, you can see here again, they're talking about the jaw, the calcification of the jaw, leading up to here, which is why I've gone to the emergency room at UC Health 2 times actually. The jaw was hurting. They have put something in the teeth, and they were able to activate it, make it vibrate, and that's, it has gone down. You can see all of those things, the visible scar, that have happened on the May 24th surgery. The people that have done that, as I said, are very powerful. The device should have stopped. It has not been charged. In the emergency room on the 21st, it was demagnetized. The doctor used a bigger magnet than this. So there is therefore no reason for that device to still be on for the stuff to heat up. Once we remove the device, it's very clear that we also have to remove the spacer that was put on May the 24th, because it's made out of a certain material that make it resonate to certain frequencies. The frequencies are the cellular phone, which is 30,000 megahertz, between 24 to 35,000. By the time you get to 28, around that spectrum, you start having the TV, the infrared. And as you go further up, a little higher up, you get the submarine communications, the satellite. So the spectrum is very clear. And imagine that you're subject to something like that constantly, non-stop, 24/7. The moment you walk into your hotel room, or where we were in Vallejo. And, while we don't dispute that there are people that might have been helping and done some good, I think the time for silence is over, because as we saw today, the coincidences are just too much, and it kept happening. it's the same thing that have happened with the eviction. You get into TD Bank portal. On the day you have a check, your social security disability, you send the check. And mysteriously, you send the request for payment. It's processed in the back office. It never get received. It get, jumps around. And then mysteriously, you have 1 month notice, then 2 months, then 3 months. And then, you get evicted, even though there is no lease, there is nothing viable. And then after all of that is done, you get hacked. Everything disappeared, the evidence. Then, the security service reinstall it. And then immediately after you get out of it, you get the evidence. You find out that, the charger for the device, the Medtronic device, has disappeared. It was stolen from your room. Then people come in, they get picture get taken of them, in where they put actually the radioactive thing in the antiperspirant. You get very sick. Then you have a gas. These devices are too big. They hooked up to these. These also hooked up to the cellular network. It's just like if you are at your home and you have those sophisticated thing to put the alarm on in your house, and it also is connected to the TV, which you can even control from your cell phone. If you have an app called Smart Things that Samsung has, they use something similar. I have reported all of this to the FBI, but the silence is deafening. And like I said, unless action are taken, it will just not end well. Neither for them nor for me. You can see I still check my email. I still have not received a lease. And the whole episode with the Isabella is very strange. The medical waiver form, the facts that vanish. So you keep coming back to these things, and the device is really hurting bad. The security services have just informed me that it's been on, and I knew it. And of course, they also tell me I'm putting the magnet now, and you can see the energy draining out of me. Oh my God, getting out of my heart, my lungs, but my heart is still beating out. And in fact, the magnet can be very dangerous. As you actually put it close, you actually hurt for the skin, and you feel those sharp electric shock. But you're talking about a device that was, degaussed in the emergency room when I went there on August the 23rd. That was not long ago. August the 21st was when I was in an emergency room. The doctor, there came with that much bigger magnet. They took it out. You can notice, I feel a little better, but you can notice how a lot of things are happening, and there's just too many coincidences for anybody in his normal mind to say that it's not adding up. The Colorado Health Network has not called me, told me, this is when it's ending, your stay here. I'm feeling a lot of relief, the energy draining from my back. You can still see we were packed, ready to go, and I suspect the fact that they are doing something on the ceiling has something to do with the fact that we have not received the lease indicate that there are some problems. That's once we get there, there might be additional problem. But you also see that the court have shut down. You also see that all of the institutions that are here to protect the citizen have just simply shut down. As much as I wanted to resolve this, as much as I've stood for what is right, you can also see that the destruction is so systemic, the eviction, the shock, the explosion of the device, the bleeding, putting me on the third floor of the King's Inn Motel when, the Belcaro was there. So the Colorado Health Network has burned its credibility. And you also see that again today. For weeks, the form were not sent, the form that I have. Suddenly, Ramsey is not receiving it. And then finally, as I said, only after we went there did they talk on the phone. He was suddenly available. But, fundamentally speaking, there's been no assistance, speaking of, from the Colorado Health Network. In fact, the opposite. There's been more harm. At the end of the day, 15 year on, you can see that even the phone number of my friend, I do not have them. They've been removed. Something very strange happened with DISA not long ago, and I need to say that to the senators and the congressmen. I apologize to be like this, but I was called. I had to come in and sit down. What has happened is it appeared that there was a straight-up assassination attempt with a deadline, and they had made me sign to DISA and try to do a number of things. And then it was magically, exposed, and I talked to them. They, basically shut down the operation. They will have nothing to do with it. There are some additional things that have happened that are still, puzzling. I don't think that at the end of the day, when you look at something so shocking, the own doctor, saying that is a problem, that as much as we have tried to resolve the issues, that we're still facing death, we're still actually dying, we're still being fried. So this is a message, a direct message to the American people, but it is also a message to Senator Menendez and to Senator Elizabeth Warren. I hope that you are able to get this. I hope that those communications are not jammed like they have been before and after the eviction and up to now. I hope that someone within the American publics, people of good moral values, raise up, look at this and say enough is enough. It has got to stop. Again, I hope that, I'm able to post this on YouTube and to send it to the senators. I've been having some problem. The media, they have hijacked that a long time ago. That is not even funny. But, when you look at me, you see a decent person. Mistakes were made, of course, but the goodness has always happened over a lifetime. It's not been bad. It's just very hard to explain this degree of going into surgery, putting some wire next to my heart, hijacking a Medtronic device, putting a new one, a bigger one, send sharp needle, trying to kill me time and again, send me into a coma in February, send me highly tainted medication. Time and again, put me here in this hotel after the eviction, have the device explode, bleeding everywhere, and then, gassing me from these, raising the temperature of my body, using higher frequency to make the lead wire from the Medtronic device, having the device charger, work up until I steal the charger from the room, until I went to to the medical, to the emergency room. And even then, you still see that the torture continues. Ask yourself, who is capable of doing something like that? Who has the resources to manipulate frequencies? Who has access to frequencies allocation? What will it mean for the next whistleblower that happened to have a heart implant or to happen to have a knee implant, something in their knees? There is a lot of citizens now that are having implants because they're getting older, they're more active, things are giving up. And just think about how the metal, can be put if that person is a whistleblower or try to expose, powerful official corruption. Just think about all those things, and there is gas again. It's bad. My eyes are burning. Just think about all those things, and just think about what it will mean for the dissident, the whistleblower, and why they should be laying in a hotel and facing death. And not totally at the mercy of the government, totally at the mercy of the system. even the phone numbers of your friend, even the email, totally gone. It's not Russia, it's not Germany. So if this is really America, I hope that you see it. I hope that you listen. I hope that you pay attention. And all you have to do is just again look at the medical file and look at the note, the own suspicion by the doctor. Look at the MRI. Remember what they say at the emergency room. They never saw, neurosurgeon never saw a device that should have leads wire, that should have been in directly into the spine, where the relief is, where the pain was coming from, go straight, into other area. And then, you look at the Coflex implant and you look at all of the explosion that have happened, the incision, the stuff that were in there. You look at the eviction. You look at all of the stuff that my family and we have undergone. You look at the beating in hospital. You look at the tortures. And you ask yourself, what is the crime that I've committed? Where is the FBI? Why is it taking so long? What have I done that deserves this level of hate and punishment and destruction of myself and my family and my human dignity and my integrity? What have I done? No. In the past 15 years, what have I done? The security services have all of the email. They have all of the evidence. They know better. They know well. So you have to ask yourself, what have I done to pull at all of my sons? What have I done to be awakened from a Sunday afternoon in my bed in what is supposed to be a safe hotel? It's a Clarion in Denver. It's the top of the chain for, Quality Inn. And you're telling me that a device, a charger disappeared minute after I talked to Debbie at Senator Menendez, and then we had all those antiperspirant poisoning, and then 2 people came in, break into the room, their key magically work. It's adding up. There is no security device, cameras on the floor, and if somebody comes through the stair, all the better. He can actually comes into the hotel by going through the side, through the restaurant, take the stair, without actually ever been seen, through the pool downstairs. So you ask yourself, what have you done to deserve so much torture, so much punishment? As I started to write about the senators and to the senators, and as I started to mention this and say it was hurting, the frequency started to lower. But that's the same MO that have happened too when it was hurting so much the day after I went to the FBI and personally reported the issues. That as I was going to the emergency room, you could feel the frequency lowering and lowering and lowering. And then when I turned the TV on, as you saw the video from the emergency room, it started back again. I was hurting. And so right there you had your correlation. So you look at all of that, you ask yourself, what have you done to deserve so much harm? What have you done as a human being to deserve so much punishment? What have you done? You have not committed a crime. You have exposed crime. You have reached out time and again to the people. And here you are destitute, removed from your friend. You cannot call them. You don't have your number. Everything you do pretty much goes through DISA. It goes through, a number of filters. And, the privacy that you expect from your medical form, the privacy that you expect talking to your girlfriend, your friend, is just not there. It's not been there for a long time. You will think that the Colorado Health Network will have prevented the eviction. You will think that, they will have jumped at the opportunity to do something after the fiasco. You will think that, Josh, that, Todak and the people that are doing this will have allowed the email to the Isabella, the attachment for the deposit to have gone through. you will have think that by now the medical waiver form will have been sent, you know, to from the doctor to the Colorado Health Network. You will never have assumed that somebody, probably one of the agents, will have gone taking the facts, the 2 pages that I wrote to the doctor, the same doctor who made those findings here, you see, the same doctor who's going to remove the Medtronic device and the wire and likely the spacer. You tell me that people like that have made those decisions suddenly will not receive a 2-page fax, who have very clearly look at you and smile and say, we got them. None of it is making sense. Who have called the spine center at UC Health Aurora and who, have finally gotten their okay, resolved this, degauss, gotten the, bigger magnet to get the relief out. You will think that the doctor would have gotten the facts, that I would have at least have been allowed, to have the resources, to have moved out of the hotel, to be with my family again, to, have enough compassion to, allow the device to be removed in surgery, the spacer. But, I've reached out to the security services who have provided me the evidence, and I've even said, you can take the device, you can take the evidence, but what happened? The 19th is when I see the surgeon. Well, surgery is likely to be down the road. And meanwhile, I'm still here. There is essentially almost like no future. That's really how we feel. We're still destitute. We still have hardly nothing to eat. And yet, we are the people that, those things were put on the wire exactly to harm, exactly to kill. And even after it was exposed, I'm still here. I'm still laying in bed. It's one fiasco after another. You get moved into a place, you're not told what the rent is. You're just told to bring $250. You get the okay to go, move the stuff. By the time you get back to the place, the person who claimed to have never received anything, just very strange, turn around and tell you, oh, no, you need to put the $2,000. You need to get the electricity. You need to get this. You need to get that. But that's the same person who was calling you and telling you all you need is $250. All you need is just those two things. All you need is just that, and you get the keys. You just spoke this morning before we actually left. Now again, the story changes. It's something different. It's a $250 plus, and then where it turned out, I'm actually higher than the manager. I'm sitting there, but I'm making the calls. And the manager didn't even know anything about it. And then it turned out the apartment or the home or whatever townhouse that they lease you turned out to be not what he told you last Saturday on an email he's going to put you in. It's something else now. And they need more days to put some wire there so they can still torture you and control you. That's basically the bottom line. The reason why they didn't want to have all those things there. So now, the check is going to get there tomorrow from Josh. But only after I have pushed, and only after they're going to have their way. They're going to get to the ceiling. We had leak at Vallejo too, actually on the day of the surgery. And they're going to put those things, and they're going to put them down, and they're going to be watching, just like they wanted to do, just like here. So you see, it's going from one place to the next, and they always want to have control. They always want to have absolute control. They always want to be able to torture. And, I have never seen a person that will not tell you this is what the rent is. We discuss the square footage. We discuss the place we want. We discuss everything. But you see that magically today there were some issues. Why these issues keep happening? Why is nothing smooth? Why are doctors finding things, telling you in writing, in their own record, that other doctors have done wrong? have put device to torture you for years since 2015. Why did when I called a month ago, the Medtronic card, it was somebody else? No. Why is it that the Colorado University Hospital at Aurora, one of the executives there, also happened to be one of the board member at Citywide Bank? Why is it that somebody, a guy that actually worked with Chris Christie, is a Japanese guy, pretended to be Takaki, send us check that were not good? And why is it that Jake and Anne-Marie Jarko from Minnesota, company called HKP, Hong Kong, have assigned some documents, tax document, attorney, I don't really know the term, but when, power of attorney forms in April, and told us that, we will do tax backs for the work that we have done through the Institute. Still have received nothing. Kept talking about payroll. And yet, nothing. And, of course there could be no payroll. But why is it that all those things happen and one by one people have been telling you the Institute is bad, the Institute owe money, or you personally have done something wrong? But how is it that I'm the person who's emaciated, has hardly anything to eat? My social security disability have been taken away for full amount by TD Bank for 2-3 years, including the last time. Why is it that TD Bank did not claim that the rent check bounced on a $35 overdraft or a $20 overdraft? Yet, why is it that same TD Bank that is able to magically overdrawn us after the eviction for $1,400? Can you explain that to me? In the same month. And why is it that it's TD Bank that took $745, the totality of a disability check, social security check, a month ago, and claimed that we owe them $1,400, and we still have no record, no anything of the transaction? How is it that TD Bank, from $745 plus a refund of $321, which is less than $1,400, suddenly say that we are overdrawn by $100? Why is it that a MasterCard from the Treasury Department that was sent to us on April the 28th is still not here? Just like 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, Josh Mayer never came. Will somebody take responsibility for what they have done to me? Will somebody ever show compassion, show respect for human dignity? Or is it the way that I'm destined to end, separated from everybody, essentially put in a hole, violated time and again? This is a question that has to be answered by the American people. It is a question that has to be answered by U.S. congressmen and senators. Because at the end of the day, it's not me that has committed the crime. It's the other way around. And however powerful those people, it's time that, the FBI, the security services, it's time that somebody stand up and act. Because you see the end result. The end result is this. The best friend that I have, their phone number, cannot find it. My contact, gone. Computer, cannot use, because as the security services show, it's a death trap. It was actually armed to kill. The eyes, everything, the emaciation, the teeth that have gone because of the vibration, the thing that were put in there. You can see that it's just death that is waiting to happen. The gas, the TV, and one by one everything gets used. But still, we come back at this. The moving fiasco, the eviction, it's just making no sense. You're still waiting for the lease. You're still waiting for, the confirmation that the doctor has received the fax again, the second fax. This is the second fax. You know, as hard as you try to explain it to other people, it's so complicated that very few people can put it together. And the first tendency that people have is just to think that, no, it's not possible. It's not possible for you to be harmed by a tiny device that big, the Medtronic device in you. It's not possible for a doctor to place wire, like they say here, where they should not be, instead of being in the spine. It's not possible for a doctor to put you to sleep and to do all those things, you know. It's not possible to have, how many x-ray, CAT scan, emergency room have I had at UC Health since the surgery of May 24? And how is it that nobody was able to detect something so simple, When I was so constipated after the surgery, we know why, because they had something, a big thing here. And nobody, I went to the emergency room. I actually had to use my finger and some spoon, plastic spoon, to really, and the amount of blood. And then finally, after I'd been backed up so much, I had to go to the emergency room and to see Cooley. And even then at the spine center, I saw a lot of people. It was just very unusual. They took the x-ray. They took, you're talking about Cooley and Dr. Berger. Explain to me how they could not have discerned that the lead wire were placed at the wrong end. Explain to me why it took an emergency room doctor, just like this, bam, with these x-rays, right? And before even the x-ray was taken, they just called the spine center and got the magnet, this magnet here, right? Explain to me how time and again, these have happened. Explain to me why the charger was stolen out of room 310, immediately after I talked to David. Explain to me why there was all those things in room 310 that were hurting, why I had to actually, take the microwave out of the thing and the smell I was getting from that microwave. Explain to me why many times